Man, what a bloodbath in Virginia. I'll tell you what. I mean, it looks like Republicans are going to completely sweep the state. I'm talking not just a governor's seat. I'm talking the lieutenant governor and the AG as well as multiple other numerous just local elections that look like they're all going to Republican candidates, or at very least more right-leaning candidates. And just what a great day. What a fantastic night. Not only do we get this, but even the New Jersey governor race, as of now, at least from what I'm seeing, again, it's about 1 a.m. when I'm recording this. The Republicans still up currently. Now, obviously, what shenanigans might happen before, the sun comes up, I don't know. We know things do tend to happen in some of these deep blue areas, so we'll find out. I doubt he'll hold his lead over in New Jersey, but the fact it's so close to New Jersey, and the fact that Virginia just got swept by the Republicans is still a great sign for things to come. And with all of that said, I think it's really time that we sit down and really look at what can we really learn from this election cycle. Because this is the first major election cycle since, of course, Biden versus Trump. So there's a lot of lessons that we can, I think, really look at here and really see, what can we utilize going into the future. And of course, if you enjoy these kind of videos, make sure you subscribe and leave a like on the video as well. Really do appreciate it. Now on to point 1. Social issues are winning issues for the Republican Party. In the past, we have been so scared about social issues, right? The Republicans are always playing catch up to the Democrats. Yet this election cycle, what turned the tide? Right? It wasn't talking about taxation, as much as we want low taxes, right? It wasn't talking about the economy exactly. It was more so talking about education, the schools, critical race theory, actual social issues that impact people's children. Of all things, right? People were really concerned about education in this election more so than any other election I've personally ever seen in my life, which is fantastic news because it's one of those issues that should be at the top of everyone's mind, especially anyone who has children. And we can really thank, of course, some of these counties over in Virginia who, was it London County, I can't say their name right, but, London County or whatever it was called, the school where a girl was assaulted by a trans student in the bathroom, and the school covered it up, and then labeled the parent who was upset at it as a terrorist. All right, people started really waking up here. They started really waking up. We saw books going into the public school system that was just straight up pornography being handed out to children. These social issues changed the election. It wasn't until Terry McAuliffe said, of course, parents don't have a right to decide what their children learn in the schools, that we really started seeing the polls really shift over to the Republican candidate. Glenn Youngkin did what a lot of Republicans have been too scared to do, and that is actually approach things from the social issue front. We have been scared to do that for so long. Republicans have been scared to seem like, oh, we're not hip, we're not with it, oh, trans story hour, oh, well, you know what, it's just the times we live in. While instead, you had someone like Youngkin here who actually stood up and said, no, we should not be giving our children pornography. We should not be defending these students who assault girls in the bathroom. We should not be, of course, dictating to parents what their kids will learn. Instead, listen to the parents and ask them, hey, what do you think we need to do to better our schools? As well as what can we do to give you more options through things like charter schools? Youngkin did a heavy push on the education side, which is in fact a social issue here. Social issues win elections because it makes election not just about the stats and the facts, but also about a moral component. These moral components are what really gets people out to vote at the end of the day. There's that old saying, people don't really remember what you say, but they will remember how you made them feel. It's why we can't ignore these moral issues, these social issues. Because the Democrats have a stranglehold on morality at this point. Right now, when you look at the media, who do they describe as the most moral among us? It's always those who are passionate about certain, social issues on the left. They're the ones who are the most moral among us, apparently. It doesn't matter. Greta Thunberg, nothing she says makes any sense whatsoever. But, oh, she's such a good person because she wants to save the planet. So nice of a person. They go from the moral front because they have a stranglehold on the social issues. They have a stranglehold on morality. So having Republicans start standing up and saying, no, this is just wrong. This is wrong. And actually making an argument against things like critical race theory in schools. This had a major impact on turnout. People had a moral reason to actually go out and vote rather than just saying, you know what, I don't want my taxes to be raised as much. They had a moral reason to jump out and really go out there when a lot of people were telling them Youngkin had no chance. Moral issues are effective. We got to keep pushing. We got to keep pushing the social issues, because right now, if we lose on the social front, we'll lose on the economic front. Right? We're going to lose on the whole thing of facts don't care about your feelings. You know, how much I love that saying, as much as if you want to convince me, I prefer seeing facts. The reality is, when it comes to most people, feelings do mean more than facts. I hate it. I despise it. But it is the truth. We have to attach things to social issues. We got to make sure we're going after these issues and really presenting our viewpoint of the world and why we think it's better than the other side. We have to make sure we start pushing this more and more and more. And we're seeing now with this election that, hey, now's the time. Now's the time to do it. Now, point number 2, a lot of you out there might not like what I'm about to say here, but hear me out. We don't need Trump to win. Now, again, please, before you dislike this video and go somewhere else, hear me out here. I love Trump. I'm a huge Trump supporter. I was not a supporter of him during the primaries when he first ran. However, the man did more than I ever expected him to do. He governed more conservatively than I ever expected him to govern. I thought he would be a big government Republican, similar to that of something like Bush, basically, just, using the federal government, inflating it like crazy and just using big government to get what we want instead of cutting down the size of government, which he cut down the size of government. He did a great job with it, right? He cut so many regulations on business, allowed us to start becoming a net exporter of stuff like oil and other natural resources. Yet he did a great job in so many different respects. We basically had peace in the Middle East under Trump. I am a big Trump supporter at this point. I love him. However, Youngkin stayed away from Trump a decent amount. He stayed away from Trump a decent amount. And because of that, the attacks that McAuliffe leveled against him, because McAuliffe, he constantly brought up Trump every chance he had. When Biden came down and campaigned with him, he brought up Trump. When Obama came down to campaign with them, they brought up Trump. Every one of them. Kamala Harris, she cackled her way talking about Trump. Trump. It was nothing but Trump. But Trump wasn't there. It was only Youngkin. Youngkin didn't have Trump going crazy over in Virginia, holding massive rallies. Youngkin just held his own rallies. And because of that, those attacks just fell right off because no one was seeing Trump. The dude's taken off Twitter. The dude is rarely on any major news network at this point. I hate it. He shouldn't be removed from Twitter, but this actually has been probably a good thing for him overall when it comes to what the public thinks about him. It's dangerous as hell, don't get me wrong, but the fact that he's no longer on Twitter, the fact he isn't in the public eye as much right now, meant that all the rhetoric, just anti-Trump, it did nothing. It just didn't do anything. Right? Republicans don't need Trump to win, and without Trump there, the Democrats don't have much else to talk about. They tried to pull in stuff like, oh, it's a dog whistle to racist when he says he wants to get rid of critical race theory. And then, of course, he goes, just like his idol, Trump. Trump wasn't there. It didn't work. It just didn't work. People got tired. You already said Trump was the most evil person ever. And because of that, you can't really attack these other political candidates as well. So, if anything, again, I actually hope Trump runs for re-election. I will gladly vote for him if he runs for re-election. I'll tell you that right now. However, it's good to see that candidates don't need Trump to win, so long as they still have an America first attitude. As long as they have that, as long as they have those principles, it's showing that Make America Great Again is more than just Trump. It is actually a set of principles that more candidates are starting to realize, which is fantastic. This is what we needed all along. Not some idol to keep looking at, but instead a set of values that we can put forward that can hopefully help us win more elections and hopefully change the hearts and minds of more people around the country. We didn't need Trump in Virginia to win. This is awesome. This is great. Because the candidate that won is still very much a MAGA candidate at the end of the day. Again, I know a lot of people don't want to hear it. A lot of people love Trump and want to see him everywhere possible. Again, I love Trump. Trump's awesome. All right, I have a Make America Great Again hat right over there. Big fan of number 45 here. But I'm also a big fan of winning elections, and it's really good to see that even in his absence, we can still win elections. Number 3, the rise in false flag operations by the Democrats. All right, we saw a couple of these towards the end of the election here this time. We saw Democrats dressed as white supremacists from Charlottesville out by Glenn's bus, chanting, of course, like "We're with Glenn" and stuff like that. Of course, after people started uncovering who these people really were, and about all of them apparently worked for the Virginia Young Democrats. Well, all of a sudden, no. The Lincoln Project, we're taking credit for it. That was us. It was performative is what it was. Of course, they didn't start taking credit for it until after people started realizing who these people really were. Of course, all these people started locking down their social media accounts. It was really funny. However, how many people saw that and actually thought that was real? Because people were tweeting it as if it was real. They knew what they were doing when they did this. They totally knew what they were doing when they did this. And then even after this took place, they then had another one where they had someone with a Confederate flag on the back of their jean jacket at the very back of the rally, be apparently just perfectly positioned so that people could get a picture of it and go, oh, look at Glenn's supporters wearing Confederate flags. Now, for one, I'll be honest, I grew up in the South all my life, right? I see tons of people with Confederate flags. I see black people with Confederate flags here in the South. It is what it is. I actually don't really agree with it personally. I have my own reasons for it, but I'm not stupid enough to believe that everyone who has a Confederate flag is a racist, right? It's not the truth. It just is not the truth. Again, I don't like it, but it doesn't mean that other people are going to view that in the same way that I view it in. It's not the case. And only an idiot would think so. With that said, the Democrats are really trying to hit this angle, of course, that Glenn is a racist. So to get this person in a jean jacket with a freshly made Confederate flag on the back of it, and of course on video you can actually see every time someone stands behind him. So there's him, and here's a cameraman, and someone steps behind him. He then moves to the back of the crowd so that cameraman still has a shot. Happens multiple times. It was a plant. All right. For one, we know it's because, of course, no one went to try to cancel him. We never really got an image of his face whatsoever because they knew people would go try to figure out who this person was. And somehow, the powers of 4chan, they can find anyone, it seems. They're better than the FBI at finding people. It's insane. It truly is insane. And it's funny they didn't get a picture of his face because normally when they see someone with a Confederate flag, they want to cancel it. They want to figure out where they work. They want to try to call up, whoever they work for to make sure they get fired, make sure they're removed from any positions of power they might be in. They're very, very, hands-on with this sort of stuff whenever they find people wearing Confederate flags in the past. Yet for this time, oh no, you're just a picture of their back. We're not going to show anything else. We're not going to, journalistic integrity all of a sudden exists, I guess. I don't know. The point is, false flag operations by the Democrats are very common, and it's important for us to realize this because there's going to be more. Especially when we move into the more important elections, there will be more false flags by the Democrats. These are just a couple. How many happened that we didn't notice? I mean, really, how many happened that we didn't notice? How many have already happened that we didn't notice? I mean, obviously, you have the Fed boy jokes from some of the, what was it, that recent rally over in D.C., but how many of these have happened that we have no clue about, maybe in possibly just local elections? Fact is, we don't know. But what we do know is the Democrats are willing to go there if that's what it takes for them to win. And so candidates need to be aware of this. And it's great. It's great the fact that Youngkin basically ignored it. Basically went, these guys are crazy. Look at these. These are a bunch of idiots, and moved on with his day, basically. There's no need for him to really harp on it because It adds validity to what the Democrats are saying. You know, you shouldn't be on your back foot here. You should be pressing forward, and that's what he did, and it worked out well. So again, 3 major points. Social issues win. We don't always need Trump in order to win, which again, this is a good thing. I love Trump, but this is a good thing. The fact that Republicans can win even when he's absent, that is awesome. It means there is a movement outside of just Trump. As well as, of course, the Democrats are willing to use false flag operations just very actively going forward here. So it's something that, of course, we need to be aware of as we go into these bigger and more important elections in the future. But is there another point that I didn't think of? Leave in the comments below, because there's probably so many different lessons we can take from this Virginia election. All right, so leave in the comments below, what do you think was the biggest, what was the biggest factor here for the Republicans actually sweeping Virginia? And what can we take away going forward into the next election cycles? As well as, of course, if you enjoyed this video, leave a thumbs up. It really does help out the channel quite a bit. As well as, of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more content. Either way, thanks so much for watching, and we'll be talking again real soon.